Well, hi there. This is Greg Burdine, pastor of Faith Baptist Church. We're in Route 66. We're on day 174, and we have 7 chapters to read today. Now, that may seem like a lot, but many of these are very short. They're poems. They're easy to understand. They're actually prayers, so may this be one of the prayers of yours. So let me give you a little summary of each of the chapters. It's Psalm 55 through 61. So that's what we've got today. Psalm 55 is a sorrowful prayer of a close friend's betrayal. Yet, in spite of the betrayal of a good friend, you can go to God. And that's what he does with his burdens. And so, no matter what other people have done to you, you can go to God with your hurts. You know, sometimes it hurts when you open your heart up to somebody and they hurt you back. God will never do that. Psalm 56 is a personal cry for help in constant fear. It chooses to trust God and his word and what God says. You know, one of the things about these Psalms, they're very similar to even modern day songs. You know, a lot of the modern day songs were written by people who had grief and heartache, and they turned that into a song. And that's what David and many of the other writers did. They took their grief and their heartaches, crying out to God, and it seems like God gave them this peace. And so it's really kind of neat. So that's in Psalm 57. Psalm 58 is a bold plea for justice. God, I want you to do right. Wicked rulers, false judges were all around, and they wanted God to do the right thing. You know, when you see bad things happening around you and you wonder, who's going to fix this? Go to God. God's justice is slow, but it's sure. So plead to God to do the right thing. Psalm 59 is a request for God's protection against violent enemies. You know, most of the time, most of us, we don't live in a violent world close by. But every now and then, it seems like things really bad are happening. You can go to God and say, God, protect me. You have love for me. You care for me. And I need you to help me at this time. So that's a good one in Psalm 59. Psalm 60 is a community prayer. Every now and then the Psalms do that. It's not just David or one of the writers. It's a prayer for all of us. And this one is a cry for help when we're defeated. A military defeat, that's what it seems to be. And it's when things have gone bad and a community has gone down, or a city or a nation, that we still trust you, God, and you're going to give us the ultimate victory eventually. And I think that's an important thing for us to do, to continue to plead to God. And then Psalm 61 is just a prayer, a reminder that God is our refuge, God is our strength. It also asks God to lead them to places of safety, the rock that is higher. You know, a lot of times you need to get up higher than the problems. You need to think about a storm coming in. You need to get up on someplace where it's safe. But where do you go? God, lead me to a place of safety. Help me to find this in the middle of trouble, a place of safety. So just some lessons, some thoughts, and make it really practical. God invites us. He wants us to cast our burdens on him. You know, a lot of times people don't want to hear your problems. And if we're honest, we don't want to hear other people's problems either. And there's nothing a lot of times that other people can do about our problems, and nothing we can do about their problems. But God invites us to cast our burdens on him and to say, God, here's what I'm going through. Here's what I'm feeling. You can do that because he not only cares about what you're going through, he can do something about it. Another lesson is when you start to fear, worry, that's a good one. When you start to worry, trust God. God's promises, and it'll give you peace, and it'll give you courage. God has promised that there's nothing going to defeat you. God has promised that all things work together for good. God has promised that eventually you're going to have a home in heaven where there's no sorrow and there's no trouble. And what you need to do is that when you know that and you have confidence in that, there's a peace. And then there's a courage to go through whatever you're going through. So when fear rises, trust God. And then another lesson, even in conflict, even when you're all by yourself, God's love and his leadership will take care of you. Even when you're in a difficult place, trust that God will take care of you. He loves you. and he will lead you in the right path. So it's some good